I just came back this evening from a flight to the Rupununi, and I took a delegation down there to look at the flooding that is going on in the Rupununi. We went as far as Shelton, Sand Creek, Lethem, and came all the way back through Pirara, Carnambo, Anai, and it was quite a revelation. I was amazed at the extent of the flooding of the water, the disbursement of this water throughout the Rupununi. And when we actually got on the ground and we started to speak to the residents, a lot of them were actually affected by these floods because their farms are underwater and their agricultural crop, and a lot of their staple diet is cassava. And a lot of the cassava was actually threatened by the flooded waters, and so they have been appealing for help in terms of the Ministry of Agriculture. But I want to make this point to you that I was actually extremely impressed when I got there to see the organization of the Civil Defense Commission and the command center set up in Lethem, and the deployment of the regional officers and government officials across the region to take help to the people of the Rupununi. I was quite impressed, I must tell you. And even though I flew the plane today, as I represent the interest of the Private Sector Commission, to basically understand what role the private sector, how we could help. I was humbled by the advanced nature of the relief operation that is going on and led by the Civil Defense Commission. So quite frankly, and I reported tonight to the Private Sector Commission how impressed I am. And I think all of us should be proud of what is happening. And I think we've identified very clearly the issues that are affecting the people down there, the issues of water. So they need to make sure that, because now you have all the areas are flooded, so you have a lot of the sewerage systems covered, people cannot drink the creek waters and the river waters. They will need to have that water purified. You have the issue of food. What was quite disappointing to me as I flew along the road, it was that the road is washing away. You actually see large sections of that road underwater, and basically you could see it being washed away. And I think we as a country will have to deal with this on a long-term basis. But there was something that, with us in the private sector, we are actually contemplating our help to include the way that we could help businessmen and women in the Rupununi, in the South Rupununi, for example, that is cut off because the business places for example, in Shelton, they're supplied from Lethem by trucks, but all those roads are cut off by the high waters. So the Private Sector Commission is going to raise funds, the Aircraft Owners Association is going to come together, and we are looking to find a way to help transport goods and material to the business people to keep their businesses open. So we'll contribute like that, and we'll also contribute and we'll work through the CDC to help them as well in ways in which we could with their transportation systems, because I think they're doing a wonderful job. But there was something significant today that happened. As I flew over the Rupununi, there was a revelation that hit me. And this revelation, there are many people who talk about the Rupununi as this wonderful, precious eco-wetland systems that we need to preserve. And a lot of us don't pay a lot of heed, a lot of attention to these pleas by people who understand the diversity and complexity of the ecosystem in the Rupununi. And we have been pursuing as a country large-scale agriculture in the Rupununi savannas without taking into consideration, or taking enough into consideration, the effects that any kind of large-scale economic development, whether it's oil, whether it's agriculture, whether it's construction, in any mass scale, how it will affect the ecosystems, this precious ecosystem, this fragile ecosystem that spans the entire Rupununi. And I came back this evening with an amazing revelation and a conviction to try and bring this message. Let us rethink. Let us rethink this strategy of large-scale agriculture in the savannas. Let us understand that this is a precious ecosystem that we really need to preserve. We really need to preserve it so that it will create economic development for Guyana, but in a different form. The wildlife and the trees, the monkeys and the birds and the fish in the rivers is very, very precious and will give us long-term sustainable revenues for economic development as against these short-term things that we are doing. And I really want to say to you that I believe you'll hear from the Private Sector Commission a new dispensation as we embrace the Rupununi Development Plan, and I believe it will have to take into consideration more and more the consideration for the preservation of the ecosystems of these wetlands, which, as I understand it, is one of the last wetlands of this caliber in the world on planet Earth. And what are we doing? What are we doing? We are thinking about doing large-scale agriculture. We are thinking about drilling for oil in the Rero River. We are not taking. I don't believe that we are thinking carefully, and we need to get the scientists to advise us. But I came back with this revelation, and this is the first time I'm talking about it.